Hey, everybody. Welcome to Movie Talk. I have a very special guest with us today for today's episode. You guys know him from being a part of Playboys in Crime and his own channel, Right Up Yours. The man, the myth, the bowling legend, Jay.
I feel like I should be sitting here playing with my balls or something.
Well, I mean, you're off camera, so we can't see what you're doing.
Yeah, that's it's only fun when I turn the camera on and do it.
I don't think we're cleared for that on YouTube.
I've seen worse.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen most of my podcasts.
Yeah.
uh, Today I've asked you to come here because you're a big sports fan and both a fan of sports movies, and I figured let's get a great expert on sports movies to join us for this one. And
Yeah. I've seen a couple of sports movies over the years. A handful.
before we get in with any further of the show, I want to thank everyone here: Maddie B, Agent of Chaos, commentator auditor, Jared
Fuka.
Juggernaut Reed. Yes, Fuka. Fuka. Just if you're still here. And everyone else who is lurking.
And thanks for staying up late to hang out with us, Maddie, because I know it's late for you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Witch of Heart, thank you for stopping by.
It's a witch. It's a wild witchy.
So, Jay, what is the defining characteristic for you for a good sports movie?
You know, we talked about a little of that earlier. The sport in the movie has to be a central part of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of sports comedies that I can't qualify as sports movies. They're comedies that have sports. So the sport itself has to be a central part of the movie. Dodgeball is a fantastic movie. It is not a sports movie.
I agree.
It's a comedy. It's a comedy that's about sports.
I agree because again, you've got a phenomenal cast of comedic actors in there. You got Ben Stiller, you got Rip Torn, Vince Vaughn, Justin Long.
I will always love Rip Torn.
But for me, on that same note, there's one I have to say I really don't consider a sports movie, but a lot of people do, and that's The Big Lebowski.
There are very few bowling movies out there, and I love The Big Lebowski for multiple reasons. But I do agree, I don't see it as a sports movie. The bowling in that movie is not a central theme. It is not even a necessity. You could remove everything about bowling from that movie, and you wouldn't even really notice it. And it could be about cornhole, for all anyone fucking cares.
Now, for me, what really takes it out for me is, like you said, the bowling really isn't that necessary. You could have done all of that in a dive bar. You could have done that in, an apartment. And it would have been the same film.
Yeah.
And again, it's not like we didn't have, a great cast in here. Think about it. You got, you got John Goodman, one of my personal favorite comedians, comedic actors. But you know me.
Yeah, John Turturro was fantastic in that movie.
Jeff Bridges was great in there. I will have to say that. I did enjoy him in there. I'm the dude.
Yeah.
El Duderito. His dudeness.
Damn it, Donnie. Yeah. Yeah, the The Big Lebowski, you could have removed the bowling from the movie, and it's a fantastic movie. But Kingpin, on the other hand,
Now that's funny.
about bowling.
That's funny you actually brought that movie up, because I have something for us to take a look at. And it's one of my personal favorite scenes from Kingpin.
Does it involve a rose-filled bowling ball? Because I no longer have it, but I did have that bowling ball.
Wait a minute, are you serious? You used to own that ball?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, while I'm getting this loaded up, I have a serious question. When it comes to the polyamor, the poly-confined balls, compared to the old traditional ones, what do you think is better when it comes for like a beginner bowler? Like the high composite resins or just a standard?
Nowadays, you really have a choice between a resin cover stock or a polyurethane. Different equipment, different tools for different conditions. I have never found a urethane bowling ball to be a necessity. If you watch a single minute of the PBA tour, it's the most common thing thrown right now, urethane, which is honestly holdover technology from the 60s and 70s of bowling. Personally, for a new bowler, somebody that's learning, a standard cover stock is perfect. You can pick them up. One of the ones that I constantly recommend is Storm's Tropical Surge, $80 ball. And, well, they make a couple different versions of it, and they all have their own unique smell to them, including one that smells like root beer.
Oh. Now you've piqued my curiosity. Yeah. There's a bowling alley near me, and I might need to start bowling.
The one that smells like birthday cake is fantastic, especially as a fat kid.
I'm a fat kid, and fat kids love cake. Abby, thank you for stopping by. You're always welcome here. Oh. Let's take a look at this scene.
Oh, old Ernie Kraken.
Okay, let me pause it real quick because if you're not familiar with this particular movie, Woody Harrelson plays a washed-up bowler who actually had a promising career back in, what was it, the 70s?
80s.
And he met another pro bowler who got him involved in a, let's call it what it is, a back alley bowling game with a crooked priest. Where they stuck his hand in the ball return. Hence the hook. Yes, which 10 Frank Quaker. 10 for Quaker.
You know, and the best part is that guy in the old school Izod shirt right there.
Yeah.
He's a PBA Hall of Fame bowler.
Now, this is something you could probably answer for me. Do bowlers actually dress like this, or like is that like a condition or like a uniform you have to wear?
Bowlers dress badly, for one. There are some very set rules on the PBA tour on what you can and cannot wear.
Mm-hmm.
Shorts, for one, are not allowed. It is black slacks for men And for women, it is black skirt or black slacks.
So I can't become the John Daly of bowling.
You need to if you've never seen him. I'm struggling to come up with his name. There's one of the top guys on the tour right now. Looks like, well, he looks kind of like a Bob Ross ripoff.
Mm-hmm.
And his entire outfit always matches. And it's always very bright and colorful. He's hilarious and just has a lot of fun. I'm not even sure how he gets away with it because he is technically not within the PBA rules for dress code. But I've always thought the PBA dress code rules were a carryover from like the 70s and 80s and needed to loosen up.
Because me personally, if I was to become a pro bowler, I would channel my inner John Daly, and I would be drunk, shirtless most times, smoking a cigar.
I can understand that.
Because I would want to be the bad boy of bowling.
You wouldn't happen to have a Phil touch.
Let's see. You were going to say something, Jay?
Yeah, but the bad boy of bowling is still bowling.
Yeah, that's true.
Screwdriver, would you?
Okay, I'm going to have to mute down here in a minute.
Never mind.
Yes, we don't get a claim, but now, you know, this is traditional for like a big tournament, right? You see stuff like this. The back brace, the finger cover. I've never really understood that in bowling. Why do you need that?
Well, okay. You'll find the back brace typically on older guys because it is a lot on the back. As for if you go back a couple of seconds, and yeah, Abby got it. It's Kyle True. If you go back a couple of seconds to his hand brace,
let me just play, and we'll get a good clean shot of it.
Yep, that one right there.
Mm-hmm.
That brace is actually no longer legal per PBA standards.
Oh, really?
Oh, and the guy in the background right there, that is Parker Bone III. Super, super nice guy. Been on the PBA tour since probably the mid-90s. Yeah, so the hand brace he's wearing there literally keeps his wrist from going backwards.
Yeah.
So his hand can't go limp-wristed. The rotation of the ball comes from the flip and the rotation of the fingertips. You can't get lift underneath that if you can't hold the ball. And those braces would actually help you keep the ball cupped so that your wrist didn't come back. About 2 years ago now, the PBA actually banned those in the men's division. If it has the solid backing, they are no longer legal in the PBA for the men.
Before I start this back up, I want to just welcome Michelle with 1L, Vinny, Nightwolf, and Abby again for stopping by and joining us today. But because I've watched this a lot with my brothers, and we love the movie. But like some of the stuff we've seen, we always talked about like the outfits they wore, the different thing. We heard people talk about the balls, and I know like oil patterns and stuff on the lanes are usually something people always talk about when it comes to bowling.
I had that ball that he's bowling with.
Now,
I used to have that gold rhino he was bowling with too.
Now, is there like a rule about custom balls like Ernie's with the
No.
rose inside. There's no
no.
There's no prohibitions to it.
No, the only catch to that ball with the rose inside is it's made out of plastic. That ball doesn't
Mhm.
hook. Unless there's
So that's why he's
virtually no oil on the lane and you are just cranking the ever living shit out of the ball for rotation. It's a plastic bowling ball. It doesn't really hook. It's a great spare ball.
great for something for to show off and be fancy, but nothing for you wouldn't recommend for competitive play.
No,
Hold
it's
on.
always good to have a spare ball.
Well, the after the hand, there was the 80s.
Like, what have you been doing in the
Wow.
past years?
Drinking.
Drinking. A lot of drinking.
Yeah, a lot of
There you
drinking.
And I've always wondered that. It's like, I know they get on people for having, like, they got on Jordan when he had the the Air Ones. Like, they fined him for that, but I didn't know anything about when it comes to bowling with like having a custom ball.
No, so they do have limitations on the ball. I could not go into my garage and literally just make my own ball.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of measurement requirements. You roll up to a PBA tournament, one of the first days, they literally have an entire setup where every ball that you are throwing that entire time has to go through a very rigorous check. They check the hardness of the ball, the density of the ball. They're making sure that it's not made out of a material it shouldn't be made out of. In the last 2 years, the PBA has banned 8 different balls from use in tournament play because they did not measure up to the standard set by the USBC, which is the governing body for bowling.
Well, now I have to ask: is hitting, like having like a corked ball, for lack of a better term, something that you have to worry about?
No, I've never seen it happen. I've never seen someone, occasionally you'll get that guy in league who's going to fudge their score, which you can't really do with the electronic scoring systems nowadays.
Yeah.
I saw a guy who, because he couldn't make it to league, he would pre-bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd go in at a different time of day and bowl his games and submit his scores for league. He was caught manipulating his own scores and was banned from competition, had his USBC, again, the governing body, had his USBC membership yanked for it. Otherwise, I've never seen anybody cheat with a ball. Occasionally, back in the day before they changed the rules, I know I flashed you that ball I have that has 5 finger holes in it.
Yeah.
I have an older ball that had the standard 2 finger holes and a thumb hole, and then had an extra hole in the side. It was a weight block. It's where a section of the ball was removed literally to make the ball rotate more in that direction. They had limits on how big that weight block could be. I have a ball that was never legal. The weight block taken out of there was way bigger than was ever legal to be used. But no, never really saw anybody try to. And you probably could have drilled out a ball, hollowed it out, changed the inside. But I've never seen anybody do it. I've never even heard of anyone trying.
Well, that's that whole thing. You see it in baseball. Guys have the corked bats or they get the rigged balls.
I think with bowling, bowling has always been a blue collar sport.
Yeah.
Come on. We used to watch Dan on Roseanne go bowling every weekend.
It's true. I mean, I
John,
used to watch Married with Children. I would always love it when, Al and the guys were at the bowling alley.
Oh yeah. But those are typically not the kind of guys you'll want to get caught cheating around. The standard blue collar kind of guy is the kind of guy who's probably going to kick the shit out of you if they catch you cheating.
You might catch a tire iron to your bowling hand.
Yeah. Or your hand shoved in the ball return.
Oh, there you go. But, I bring up, the corked balls and bats, is a good segue into baseball. And I have something that you've requested. And as I get that queued up, we're going to segue from bowling to baseball because, why not? It's America's pastime. And Jay, upon request, we have your favorite scene from A League of Their Own.
I know what it is.
If this would... Okay, not that. NCR does tech. Let's unmute. Now, do you want to set this scene up for anyone who hasn't seen it before? Give them a little bit of a backstory to the movie.
A League of Their Own is such a fantastic. Every movie based on a true story takes liberties.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, because real life is not.
Cinematic
Real life is
pleasing.
Yeah, cinematic is a great way to say that. A League of Their Own is an all-time classic. You can never go wrong with Tom Hanks, Gina Davis, Madonna,
Rosie O'Donnell.
But yeah, Rosie was in that. Yeah, see, Michelle already knows what the line is. Yeah, I mean, a movie take on the reality of women's baseball and the rise of it during World War II. Yeah, it was World War II. They needed something to do in these ballparks. They needed to provide entertainment to the people, sitting at home while the men were being conscripted to go fight in a war.
Yeah.
And we got, for 2 or 3 years, we did get women's baseball. Not softball, but women's actual baseball.
Which I think they should bring it back. I mean,
I agree. I do agree. I don't understand women's softball. Honestly, let them play baseball. I don't get it, but whatever.
Well, let's get this queued up.
Say, Evelyn, can I ask you a question? You got a moment?
Mm-hmm.
Which team do you play for?
Well, I'm a peach.
Well, I was just wondering, because I couldn't figure out why you would throw home when we've got a 2-run lead. You let the tying run get on second, and we lost the lead because of you. Now you start using your head. That's that love that's 3 feet above your ass.
Oh, okay, who hasn't had a coach like that?
Yeah.
I've had a coach like that before. And I'm just going to say it. If you're out there and you're watching this somehow, I have never needed to learn track and field to save my life.
If I'm running, it's because somebody's chasing me.
If I'm running, there's an alligator or an angry X.
No.
Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
Why don't you leave her alone, Jimmy?
Oh, you zip it, Doris. Rogers Hornsby was my manager, and he called me a talking pile of pig shit. And that was when my parents drove all the way down from Michigan to see me play the
Oh, well,
game.
that explains
And did I
everything. You're
cry?
from Michigan.
No. No! And you know why?
No.
Because there's no crying in baseball. There's no crying in baseball! No crying!
What's the matter, Jimmy?
She's crying, sir.
Come on, Jimmy. You gotta be like a little nicer to the lady. She's a
Not to
peach.
chastise you too vehemently. Good rule of thumb. Treat each of these girls as you would treat your mother.
You want ever tell you look like a penis with a little hat on?
Oh,
Get out of here! Right now, Jimmy, I heard that!
you misunderstood. It was a compliment. It was a compliment.
For a second, no, you got us straight up! I can't believe no one ever called you that
His
before!
own team cheering for his ejection.
I'm in charge now. All right.
Oh,
His own team cheering his ejection.
now, hey, Miss Mandy. It's good seeing you. Doing tech bad.
Hey, Mandy. Yeah. Tom Hanks was great in this movie.
Oh yeah. Again, you can't go wrong with a Tom Hanks film. Always good.
Look,
But-
man, are we just going to ignore Joe versus the volcano? Because that was not a good movie.
It was still good because he was in it. The parts of him in the movie were actually good.
Okay, okay, I'll give you that. I think what makes this such a great movie is, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of comedy in this movie. Lovitz. Lovitz when he was recruiting Marla.
Uh-huh.
Oh, dude, he was so mean. He was so mean. And the rest of the cast was so sweet. That counteracted with the comedy. And even later, I'm not going to say spoiler alerts. The movie is long old enough to no longer deserve a spoiler warning.
Mm-hmm.
When he has to deliver the "we're sorry for your loss" letter. To go from that movie going from the comedy to the
seriousness.
reality of what was going on at the time.
And I think it's such a great movie because you have a cast that's playing off of each other highly well due to the fact of you've got Gina Davis and you got Rosie O'Donnell, who are one's a stand-up comic, one's a comic actress. They know the perfect chemistry to bounce the joke, bounce the line, feed it, and keep it going. But then you get somebody like Madonna who can actually who's more of a singer than anything else, and still keep
Yeah,
that same.
It was one of her first acting roles.
Oh yeah, and she kept that same level of composure and comic energy and timing. But
And one of my other personal favorites, because she's often overshadowed by Gina Davis, which is kind of ironic given the subplot of the movie between Gina Davis and her little sister, Lori Petty. Lori Petty did a fantastic job in this movie, long before she ever took up her iconic role as Tank Girl.
Everyone just knows her for Tank Girl, but it's the little things of roles that people don't recognize and until they realize, like watching it multiple times. Like this isn't a sports movie, but if you've ever watched Halloween 2, the original, when they're doing the report outside the Myers house, you can notice if you look very closely Dana Carvey in his first role.
Well, Laura Petty was also in the Pauly Shore classic, In the Army Now.
Oh, I love that movie.
She was in Point Break. She did a lot of movies, actually.
She was actually
Cadillac Man with Robin Williams.
She was actually one of my favorite Superman villains from the animated series. She voiced Livewire.
I didn't know that. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed her in Orange is the New Black.
now I'm going to take a little dig at myself here on this next thing, since we're still talking baseball. As an Ohioan, we root hard for our Ohio teams, and the only time I will ever see my beloved Cleveland Indians reach the pennant and come close to winning it will be watching Major League. And
Fuck you, Joe.
this
Who
is
I
a-
do it myself.
Now I will say this: there are bars in Cleveland that have Jambu stands and altars dedicated to Jambu, and I mean they have gone all out with the whole shrining of Jambu.
I do feel before we move on to Major League, there is one more thing we must point out about the greatness of A League of Their Own.
Mm-hmm.
The director. It was Penny Marshall.
That's right. That was pretty much. I couldn't remember for the life of me who was the director.
It was one of her first films as a director after oh my God, what was that 80s TV show she was in? I can picture the theme song. I can even hear
Laverne
it in
and
my
Shirley.
head. Yeah. Yeah, after Laverne and Shirley ended, A League of Their Own was one of her first directorial debuts.
That's something also we can't overlook is most sports movies are directed by men, but this was a phenomenal true story, well directed, well acted out, and well written, and it just felt more like they took some embellishments with some stuff, but it felt like you were really there when you watch it, like you're in the 40s.
I think one of my personal favorite things might be at the very end of the film. At the end of the film, they are all meeting up again at the Baseball Hall of Fame, where they were being inducted and recognized by the Baseball Hall of Fame. It wasn't the actors and actresses. That final scene with them gathering together to take a picture, those were the real women who participated in the Women's League. And the women the characters were based off of. I thought Penny Marshall did just an amazing job. Again, given a funny movie, but at the same time, bringing attention to something that, I'll be honest, if it weren't for that movie, I never would have known that actually happened. And a lot of people wouldn't.
Oh, no. And here's something I find to be very interesting about a good sports movie is, you can match comedy and drama with that movie perfectly. And it doesn't feel like one overpowers the other.
Yeah.
Now, I bring up the Jambu for this reason. There was a bar that had a Jambu stand, and somebody had taken, and I think this was like 2015, 2016, a case of very expensive cigars to offer Jambu that the Cleveland Indians would win the pennant. And somebody stole Jambu's cigars. And some very bad things happened to that person until he returned the cigars.
During 2016, Mike Napoli actually had a Joe Boo statue and a shrine in the locker room, in the Indians' locker room.
Well, we are very dedicated believers to our teams when it comes to being Ohio teams. And if nobody's ever seen Major League, I will set this up for you. We have them in the locker room getting ready to take the field, and we have Sanchez, who has turned his locker into an altar for Jambu for a very specific reason.
Jobu, ayúdame en este momento para que me des el poder para conquistar el cuerpo. Te daré mi devoción para siempre poderoso.
¿Qué pasa there, Pedro?
Bats. They are sick. I cannot hit curveball. Straight ball, I hit it very much. Curveball, bats are afraid. I asked Jobu to come. Take fear from bats.
Now, the Jambu statues you will see, all of them will be made with the exact same offerings of cigars and rum.
He switches it up in the second movie. He does. He changes it up in the second movie. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
you gotta
Charlie Sheen, Tom Sizemore, Wesley Snipes, they were all real young in that scene right there.
Oh yeah, and I mean, you got to give Jambu his offerings, and if you know your bat's afraid of the curveball, you gotta give it row. If it's afraid of a straight ball, you gotta give it tequila. You gotta give Jambu what Jambu wants. Make the bat not afraid.
I offered him cigar and rum. He will come.
Oh, I said Sizemore.
You know, you might think about taking Jesus Christ as your savior instead of fooling around with all this stuff.
Shit, Harris.
Ah. Jesus. I like him very much. He no help with curveball.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
Okay, Harris, let's
Now let's not turn this into who's going to kick whose ass in the parking lot now.
Wouldn't leave a rum sitting around out here with this group.
He's very bad. Steal Jobu's rum. He's very bad.
Now, what had happened in the movie is my man takes Jambu's rum and gets cracked in the head with a ball. What happened to the guy who stole Jambu's rum from the bar? Somebody set his car on fire.
Man, Bob Uecker. Bob Uecker made that movie. Don't get me wrong, I was a big fan of Corbin Burnson in there too.
Oh yeah. I love the opening of them recruiting people for the Cleveland Indians.
See,
and
now, sorry, I was looking at Abby's comment. Don't get me wrong, I thought Angels in the Outfield was a great kids movie. Angels in the Outfield is not a sports movie.
It's a family sports movie, and that's something I was trying to find clips for. I couldn't really find anything really good that would show it off well. But like the whole thing of the family sports movies, like the Air Buds, the Ed, Angels in the Outfield, they're good stories for families, but I don't really consider them sports movies to the fact that the sport's not the main storyline.
Yeah. Yeah. Little Giants.
I would
Little
consider that a
Giant.
sports movie.
The Sandlot, I would also have to consider a sports movie.
Mighty Ducks is one I would definitely consider a sports movie because it launched into an actual NHL team.
I would consider the first Mighty Ducks a sports movie, not the rest.
Parts of the second one. I'm stretching it.
There have been, a lot like Ladybugs. Ladybugs, for instance, Rodney Dangerfield, a young Jonathan Brandis. Not a sports movie. It's a kids movie. It's a family kids movie that happens to have sports. It's not the same thing.
And let me answer Jared's question. You don't know how devastated I was at that game because I was torn on who to root for. It was Jay, if you're not familiar, last week's game
Bengals,
was
Browns.
Yeah. Cincinnati versus Cleveland. Who do I root for?
Well, that's easy. That's easy. Right now, as long as the Browns have the quarterback they have, then the answer is always going to be anybody playing the Browns. Always root against the Browns.
I can't do that. The Ohio man in me will not allow that. But no, and that's something about Major League you actually see is the dedication that a fan base has for their team. You know, we talked about this earlier this morning, but the opening scenes of, you know, everybody talking about this coming season, from people walking down the street to reporters, construction guys, to the guys on the grounds crew just talking. You know, it incorporates everything about, like, the 30 for 30 documentary sums it up best. Believeland, you know, we believe in our teams no matter win or lose. We're always going to cheer.
Yeah. And a lot of the clips they used at the beginning of that movie was stuff they had legitimately just gathered, walking around and filming people. But I do think, hey, Hank.
Hey, Hank.
I do think you also have to be able to delineate the difference between a movie and a film.
Mm-hmm.
You and I talked about it The Wrestler. The Wrestler was
Interns.
a phenomenal film. It's very artsy. It's much more about the story than it is any form of the action.
Although I consider it a sports movie because if you actually look at the life of wrestlers, it's really like that for those guys who were in the 80s. You know, they were constantly on the road, constantly going to the different territories. You know, of course, you know, the issues with substance abuse with them to cope with the pain that they had to deal with. It's something that movie actually portrays in a very well written way.
Oh, absolutely. There's still questions to this day if that was written about Ric Flair or Mick Foley or some of the others, Hogan, some of these guys who literally consistently went out and knowing the next time they stepped in that ring, it could have been their life and they didn't care.
Oh yeah. And, you know, both me and you are fans of, Dark Side of the Ring. It's a really good documentary on wrestling. And if you think about it, look at, like, you know, Bruiser Brody and what happened to him in Puerto Rico. He literally died, you know, for the sport he loved. And I think, you know, it's a perfect symbolism of the old story of the old warrior looking for that good death.
Pero Gallo Jr. died in the ring with Rey Mysterio. It's more common it's been more common throughout the years in boxing, of course.
Oh yeah.
Just because of, you know, the number of blows to the fucking head you take.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, absolutely.
Look at the story of Cinderella Man, which essentially was Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Basis story.
Damn good movie too.
Both are fine films, and one of my favorite scenes is a scene that Stallone actually fought for. If it wasn't for him fighting for this iconic scene, I'm gonna get it pulled up to where I want it so we can play this. But that scene of him with Adrian before the fight, they were not going to air that. Hey, cat girl. Yeah. Owen Hart died during a pay-per-view. And that really wasn't on Vince or Owen or any of the guys. That was on the harnessing crew. They used the wrong rigs for that, but this scene, they were getting ready to like say, no, we've been here for 18 hours. We got to end it. He said, just give me one take. One take is all I'm asking. Because this is the entire movie. If you don't have this scene, you don't have the movie.
Can't do it.
Let me see if I can get this turned up more. Let me get a little closed caption on.
Follow?
Yeah. I've been out there walking around, thinking,
Okay, yeah, closed captioning is not helping.
kidding, I ain't even in the guys' league.
What are we gonna do?
I don't know.
And again, this
Yeah, it don't matter, because I was nobody before.
is the one scene that sums up the film perfectly.
Oh, come on, Adrian, it's true. I was nobody. That don't matter either, you know? Because I was thinking, it really don't matter if I lose this fight. It really don't matter if this guy opens my head either. So all I want to do is go the distance. Nobody's ever gone the distance, Creed. If I can go that distance. Seeing that bell rings and I'm still standing. I want to know for the first time in my life, see? That I weren't just another bum from the neighborhood.
This entire scene shot in one take. And that's all. It's perfect. It sums up Rocky in a nutshell perfectly. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
Nightwolf, no, I haven't seen Vision Quest. I'll put it on my list of movies to watch. But something we were talking about earlier, and it, kind of a hot issue with some people when it comes to pro wrestling. It's fake. I disagree with that. And like you said, it's predetermined. But those guys are not faking the injuries, the amount of training they have to do, the hits they're taking.
So if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you watch the series Ted Lasso on Apple TV. There's a scene in there where one of the retired players is talking about, I used to put my body on the line every time I stepped out on the pitch. And one of the guys looks at me and goes, you can't even walk upstairs. And Hogan. Yeah. The guy's got permanent back damage from, delivering that leg drop day in and day out for 20 plus years. Jeff Hardy, permanent damage to his back from the Swanton. Kurt Angle was so concerned with losing his spot on the roster. He took shortcuts on a neck injury that literally could have killed him so that he could continue to go out and wrestle every night.
Daniel Bryan, with all the concussions he's abstained.
Yeah. Yeah, the amount of guys with concussions. One that, a lot of us might be familiar with, Val Venus.
Mm-hmm.
Val Venus has turned into a sovereign citizen. It's like, well, at least with him, we can understand why.
Remember, kids, wear your helmets.
It was a massive concussion from a chair shot, which ended his wrestling career. But not his ability to go out and film himself being a sovereign citizen.
Oh, yes. And, this is a perfect time because this isn't from a movie, but this is a news clip from 2020 from back in the 80s of, something I feel is justifiable because, I find it highly disrespectful to say to anybody who's been in the pro and wrestling industry that those guys are fakes. They're frauds. They're charlatans. The fans know it's scripted. They know it. But to insult them by calling it fake and saying these guys aren't athletes, in a F around and find out way somebody did in this clip. This is Dr. David Schultz, or Dr. D. 80s wrestler, used to be big in the territories.
Used
And
to
this
be
is
tag
him
team
with,
partner of Eddie Mansfield, a wrestler who's just
John
told us how
Stockton.
every match is fake. I asked Schultz questions that I assume all wrestlers have been asked dozens of times.
What? Is this a good business? Yeah, it's a good business. I wouldn't be in it if it wasn't. Why is it a good business? Because only the tough survive. That's the reason you ain't in it. And this punk holding the camera reading he ain't in it. Reading these rednecks out here ain't in it because it's a tough business.
That's terrific.
What, is that all you got?
I'll ask you the standard question.
Standard question.
I think this is fake.
You think it's fake? What's that? Is that fake? Huh? What's that? Open hand slap. You think it's fake?
That slap cost Vince McMahon $3 million. I am not kidding.
So play the clip I just posted in private.
Yeah,
If you haven't seen this one, this is another, nearly 20 years later, somebody else deciding to tell a wrestler what they did was fake.
I mean, you can't call it fake when these guys are literally putting their bodies on the line to entertain what I can only describe as the most loyal and diehard fans you'll ever have.
Watches wrestling and they are in on the joke. That's not an insult.
So what you're trying to say is people are just dying for this.
I take it as an insult.
I do too. But they're dying to find out, hey, wrestling's fake.
No,
the
you're
only
telling
thing
me
that's
that you're
fake
really
is,
hitting each other?
No.
The sound of the chair is real, okay? We are entertainment, but when a metal chair cracks your back, that's not fake.
That can't
Somebody
be a
throws
metal
you from... It's a
Yes,
metal...
yes. You know what?
There's never a bruise on any of you.
Baloney, you got it.
Bullshit.
Yeah, this gets spicy.
If you are sensitive,
there's no nudity. There's no nudity.
No. If you're sensitive to acts of violence, but you enjoy a good asshole getting taught a lesson, stick around.
Metal hip. Broken wrist. See that wrist? 7 years it's been broken. Owen Hart, dead. Why don't you go tell Mrs. Hart what a joke it is, huh? Oh, it's just a phrase, right? You want me to be truthful with you? Huh, champ?
You know where, if I may say so, sir, the difference is.
What?
He's gonna strike.
Just don't show me
It's
your
Piper's
ass
Pit.
again.
Listen, I ain't backstage, man.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
and I'm not dropping my pants in front of other men. But go ahead.
Okay.
There's a lady there.
The job.
Oh, Rowdy.
Piper.
Oh, Rowdy.
We miss you, Hot Rod.
Oh, yeah.
I love, the stories behind some of these wrestlers. Like, you hear so many crazy things. Like, I brought this up with Bruiser Brody. Before he was a pro wrestler, he was a quarterback for Green Bay. He was an All-American college athlete. Then you get people like Andre, who literally changed the game of wrestling.
Well, if you remember the WCW version of the Four Horsemen, Steve Mongo McMichael liked to knock people out with his fucking Super Bowl ring. That he won as part of the Bears defense from being on the greatest defense to ever step field on a football field. Flying Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman played in the NFL. Lawrence Taylor put on a hell of a wrestling match as well. There's a number of NFL guys who have in some way made a jump into wrestling.
And if you look at the thing with wrestlers, a lot of wrestlers have had phenomenal acting careers. Maybe little gimmick parts or, some jokey movies, but look at, Hogan. Hogan, in Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny.
Yeah.
Thunder in Paradise was one of those shows that I watched as a kid as like a guilty pleasure. It was like, I know it's like, it's bad, but it was Hulk Hogan and he had that badass speedboat.
He was in one of the Three Ninjas movies.
Yeah. You had.
I do remember. Oh, No Holds Barred. When he was in No Holds Barred with Zeus Lister.
Him playing was it Thunder Lips in Rocky 3.
Mm-hmm.
Stallone was not expecting him to get manhandled like he did. That line that he says, I didn't think you'd go so crazy on me like that. That was ad-libbed. And Hogan's response was ad-libbed. Yeah, Hank. Piper was in them. I know he was in They Live. I didn't know he was in. But then
well, remember the main event of WrestleMania 1. Roddy Piper, Mr. T, Hogan, Cowboy Bob Orton, Randy Orton's dad, and their guest referee was Muhammad Ali.
Oh yeah,
and Cowboy Bob talked about it years later. Talked about Muhammad swinging at Rowdy, going, "Oh God, he's going to kill him," and the guy's going, "Nope. It looked like he had just just absolutely murdered him. And it was just a little tap on the chin. He pulled that punch beautifully.
And again, with Andre, think about this: him in The Princess Bride, and
it makes me sad to think about him in The Princess Bride, man.
But that was how he really was, though. He was that soft-spoken, gentle giant.
Well, what makes me sad is to think about the fact that by the time he was filming that movie, there were scenes where he was carrying Princess Buttercup, where he could not lift her up. He physically just didn't have the strength to do it anymore.
Oh yeah, but this was. Well, go on.
If you don't know it, The Big Show actually suffers from the same medical condition that made Andre as big as he is. The difference is the advancements in medical technology. They were able to figure out that his size was a pituitary disorder, and they were able to stop that growth so that he didn't pass early like Andre did.
Well, the thing with Andre's passing is they did find out about the condition, and there was a surgery at the time to treat it, and he would have survived. But Andre's beliefs were this: if God wants him to be this big, why could he say no to? He'd have to say no to the surgery because he didn't want to defy.
Well, he was also afraid of the surgery.
That's true. But he took such pride in being in The Princess Bride that he always had copies of it. He's always showing the guys in the back, and that's a direct line from Jesse Ventura, who I loved him in Predator.
Mandy Patinkin slapping the shit out of Andre to get him to deliver a line. And Billy Crystal telling that story. Everybody around just stopped dead in their tracks and was waiting for Andre to murder him. And he just looked at him and went, "Okay, boss, I got it."
And Mandy Patinkin, he told this story in an interview. It was him, Andre, and one of the producers, and they were on one of the boats just getting ready to do something. And the producers were like, "Andre, are you okay? Do you need anything?" Or everyone's like, "I love it here. I love this. I'm good." And they asked, "What? Why? Why are you enjoying it so much?" He goes, "Because nobody's looking at me."
Yep.
And he was always a target of, because of his height, people wanted to fuck around and find out. But we were talking about wrestlers being in football, and I think I have to see which is a better scene, because both me and you were talking about this week. The Longest Yard.
Okay.
Which one is better? And I have two things that we can compare that are nearly identical enough so we can do it. I will start with the original. And again, this is a 100% honest question. I want everyone in the chat to give us your opinion. Let me take this to the beginning. Go full screen. If you're not familiar, we have Burt Reynolds playing Crew.
Play football? Yeah. Good. Would you like to play football with us inmates? No. Oh.
We're playing the guards.
By the guards. Yeah, I want to play. He wants to play. Thank you, Mr. Schachtner.
Now remember, nobody hits the quarterback.
Lou! 28. Sit.
And okay, I don't think you can do that legally. I don't think you're allowed to just straight punch somebody in the face.
Necessary roughness would beg to differ. Thank you.
But the smile alone is like, yeah.
You broke my fucking nose! You bastard! You broke my fucking nose!
Calm down, Samson. Calm down. I'm gonna fix it for you, all right?
Hey, I don't want to play this game. You broke my nose.
I'm gonna fix it, okay? There we go.
Fun fact: he was actually in a Happy Gilmore movie. He was in Happy Gilmore.
He was in Happy Gilmore, but he was in more than one Adam Sandler movie.
Oh, it looks 100% better, doesn't it?
100%.
Oh yeah.
It does?
Yeah.
Also, if you're not familiar, that is the guy who played Jaws in
Yo, he did that on purpose.
James Bond.
No, he didn't.
Yep.
Yes, he did.
Tell him I'm sorry. Please.
Hey, Froder Comedy Show. Tawny, it's good to see you.
Okay, everybody, huddle up, let's go.
He said he was sorry.
Oh, shit.
Come on, let's
He said he
settle
was
up.
sorry.
Let's go. Let's settle up. Let's go.
Beat the shit out of him. Try it again.
Okay, now let's compare the remakes.
I look like little Michael.
I like Little Michael. I think he did that on purpose. Now, we saw the original with Burt Reynolds. Now, let's see Adam Sandler and Khali.
Yep.
The great Khali, who, by the way, in real life is a cop.
Yep.
I'm not making that up there.
You know, there's part of me that wants to see Chili try to audit him and tell him what a tyrant he is.
Yeah, that would be funny. Let's let them see
Really good news.
Khali over there.
You like football?
He is still as
Kinda like
muscly.
ping pong, only
He
the
is
ball's
that
a little
tall.
bigger and egg-shaped,
Let's just see
like
Chili
my
go to him and be like,
Just a
call him
joke.
a pig or a tyrant or to eat his
Give you a
shorts.
good chance to throw people on the ground, hurt them like you used to when you were a kid. 10 feet, 6 inches ago. We'd be playing the guards. I think Papa John's their safety.
I play.
Now, he had to ADR all of his lines.
Yeah.
Okay. We have the iconic scene.
Turley, nobody gets to me. We'll play more ping pong later, okay?
And again, I'm just gonna say it. I don't think we're allowed to just Spartan kick people in the face in football.
Having played football, I'm gonna say no. That is definitely a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, I would see where it'd be more entertaining, but I don't think it's allowed to. It's allowed for us to just straight up Spartan kick a dude in the fucking face.
Yeah, but sometimes they have it coming.
All right.
It's true.
Broke my nose. I don't want to play no more.
Hey, Switkowski, what are you talking about? This is football. Shit happens.
Ball, he broke my nose.
Okay, stop crying. All right, we can fix this. Here we go. Okay, good.
How's it look?
How's it look? It looks like it looks better than before.
Really?
Yeah, it's straighter, more distinguished, kind of like a young Michael Jackson.
I love little Mikey.
That's great. That's great.
I think he did it on purpose.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, maybe he did. You got to apologize to him. Come on, Turley. Say you're sorry. Come on, say it.
I'm sorry. He said he's sorry. I got him to say he's sorry. Yeah.
And we got Bill Goldberg, who was an actual football player too. Wrestler now playing football. Oh, damn it. Give it a minute.
He played for the Atlanta Falcons, actually.
Give it a minute. We'll be back in a few minutes.
And you know what? You know what's funny about him playing for the Falcons is there was another future WWE member there at the same time. The fantastic and always leggy Stacy Keibler was a cheerleader for them.
You gotta love YouTube. We're having commentary, we're pausing it, but yet they'll still strike it. I'll fight this afterwards in studio, but just
there's some irony there, considering again we did come across a YouTube channel earlier that literally was nothing but other people's content.
yeah. Let's bring that up when we come back, because I want to bring that up. That pisses me off.
Yeah, in full, no commentary, no nothing. Literally just other people's freaking.
Oh yeah, the only thing he did was give them different thumbnails.
Did they even do that?
Yes. Because the one on Wrangler from Reaper, totally different thumbnail from hers to his.
Are you subscribed to NCR? Yes, I am, Maddie. Yes, I am.
You gotta love YouTube.
No, I don't even have to like them.
Oh, I think they really killed the fucking stream, because it's not even showing up on my you go to the channel. Yeah, we're still down. Shit. Oh man.
Man, we really pissed off the YouTube overlords today, didn't we?
Oh, I know. I thought we were going to get popped. Oh, we're back. Okay. Sorry about that. Apparently, us showing the clip, we didn't pause enough. I want to thank Noah Romo out there for being a pretty good guy out there for once, because usually here's a fucking Florida man, and those guys are fucking crazy. But he knows what he did to me. It's ironic. We was actually just talking about this, waiting for the show to come back. We had come across a channel for somebody who was just straight ripping off other people's content.
Yeah, like in full reposting other people's content.
The only thing he changes is the thumbnail. No commentary, no transformative. Just he stole stuff from Frodo the Reaper, Joey Surreal, Georgia Transparency, J-Town, all of these different channels. But yet...
Yeah. Yeah. YouTube and their selective enforcement of their terms of service is always, yeah.
It's always funny. But,
not funny, haha.
It's always funny, sad.
Yeah.
Now, I like to, because we've been doing this for almost an hour and 15 minutes. Let's start trying to wind it down. And let's share some of our favorite sports movies with everybody. Give some recommendations. I'll start off with a great hockey movie. You can't go wrong. You have a good time watching it. Slapshots.
Slapshots. Okay, I haven't seen that in years.
I love the Hanson brothers.
The Replacements.
actually one of the movies we're going to talk about, but I don't want to take a chance of us getting struck with another shutdown, which is bringing up She Loves Remember the Titans.
Yes. Remember the Titans is an amazing movie. The Sandlot.
Sandlot, great movie. Another great movie I would recommend if you love a good sports movie. Tin Cup.
Tin Cup is really entertaining, actually. Personally, one of Kevin Costner's better movies. You can never go wrong with the absolute all-time classic that is Caddyshack.
Waterboy, yes. Hank, that's funny you did. Jay.
The water sucks. It really sucks.
Florida Man. Damn you, Florida Man. I hired Florida Man. If you guys aren't aware, I have a Florida Man that I've now hired for a segment that will be happening on some of the Florida Man streams or any live streams I will be doing. I have an email for the channel, or if you're on Discord and you're in my server or we're sharing a server and you want to ask a Florida Man a question, he will answer those questions for you. His name is Dwayne. And Dwayne he's a character. You can ask Maddie. She's met him a couple of times. But yes, Basketball, great sports movie.
Cool. If we want to stick on the comedy line, Cool Runnings.
Based on a true story, and
the original White Men Can't Jump. I just recently learned that they remade it. God knows why. I've seen clips, and it's hot fucking garbage.
Okay, Jared, you might not like this, but I don't consider Ready to Rumble to be a sports movie. It's a funny movie about wrestling, but it's not really, to me, a sports movie. Good movie, though. It's a funny movie. But one of my favorite... 42 is a good one. I think one of my favorite lines from Ready to Rumble is that scene with Oliver Pleasance and Mean Gene Okerman.
Yeah.
King, am I sexy? Mean Gene, you're the sexiest man I've ever met, man. I gotta go deal with some shit right now. I love the fact that Hank brought up the Water Boy. I brought up. Let me see if I can actually bring this.
While you look, if you've never seen it, man, for the love of basketball. For the Love of Basketball was an amazing movie, and so was, for those who remember it, Above the Rim, starring Tupac.
I had made a meme earlier I shared with Jay involving the Water Boy and my love of goth girls. I don't think YouTube would like me to put it up on the stream, but I will be putting it in a community post. Jay, is there anything you would like to plug?
No, really, nothing in particular. I haven't been making a lot of content lately. I've just been taking a break. Football season started, so I will shortly decide whether or not I'm going to pick it back up.
All right. I want to thank Jay again for stopping by and being our special guest for today's episode.
Go pick! I love that movie, Abby.
I also want to thank everybody for stopping by and joining us today. Again, I want to thank Hank for becoming a new member. And if you're a content creator and you wish to come up here please email me or message me on Discord. The email for the channel is ncrnews87@gmail. And my Discord handle is ncrnews. And if you have any questions for Florida Man, please email me at the same email or message me on Discord and make it the subject Ask Florida Man. Because he has lived an interesting life and has a lot of life lessons he can teach us. With all that being said, be well, be safe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.